Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Russell. My presentation will take a safari tour as the starting point to explore the impact of poaching of wildlife on Kenya's tourist industry. There are six stakeholders involved in the system: wild animal, local residents, government, poachers, tourists, and safari guides. The primary stakeholders is wild animals, whose goal is survive and eat, which is their born ability. The goal of poachers is to earn money. Poachers risk their life to hunt and kill these precious wild animals because these animals are of very high value, which can help them feed the family and promote the poacher's behavior. The goal of residents is to feed their family. They want to earn money through wild animals, whatever the means. The government's goal is to promote the sustainable development of the tourist industry, so they need to curb the poaching. The goal of Safari Guide is to protect the animals and earn money through the guiding. They need more animals to attract tourists, and because they love animals, they can do the job of safari guides. A key stakeholder is tourists who choose safari to Kenya to have close contact with animals and have some adventure experience. Tourists want a new understanding of nature and life when they step on the Kenya grassland and witness the most spectacular journey of life on Earth. There are two interventions I want to propose. The one is stronger laws and more law enforcement officers, and another is using high-tech monitoring and protective devices. The number of wild animals is at the low leverage level, while poaching activity is at the high leverage level, because the decrease in the number of animals is only a phenomenon. Poaching is a cultural cause leading this phenomenon. If poachers can be effectively curbed, the number of animals will naturally increase. As animal poaching rates continue to rise, conservationists need to stronger laws and deterrents to wildlife crimes. Although the Kenya's government issued its decrees in 1977 forbidding hunting wild animals, driven by huge interest, poachers still took risks targeting rhino and other wild animals. So the Kenya's government need to stricter laws and relevant measures. For example, a special forces coach could be invited to be responsible for training the local militia. Then Malaysia incorporated into the police reserve to authorize the use of lethal force. If poachers are found, they can be authorized by shooting. If captured alive, the, these poachers face up to 25 years in prison. A survey by United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime also found that the equipment of wildlife conservationists in Kenya was not perfect, and they did not even have long boats that could be used for a long journey. Use high-tech monitoring devices to combat wildlife poaching and smuggling and monitor animal populations. Drones, remote-controlled cameras, smartphone software, and artificial intelligence are beneficial. And I want to explain the different mental model among the identified stakeholders. If tourists say that Kenya's conservationists have better high-tech monitoring and protective devices, they will also think that Kenya has a sustainable tourism framework, encouraging more tourists to come to Kenya. If the government can arrange more protective equipment and implement stricter laws, it will have better development for tourism development. Suppose residents to Kenya with better technology and equipment and more laws enforcement officers. In that case, they will not poach animals with poacher for money, and will also have more positive attitude towards wild animals. If the poachers say that more personnel has more positive equipment, and the government implement stricter law, Then they will be afraid and worried and will not hunt wild animals one only. If guides say those, they will have more confidence in the tourism industry. And then they will also publicize the positive tourism and the wildlife conservation in Kenya. Then I want to analyze consequences and unintended consequences of proposed interventions. The consequence of using high-tech monitoring and protective devices could be positive. Wildlife rangers risk their life to work in harsh environments all year round. They lack equipment, while the poachers have a lot of equipment, such as guns. This is an unequal confrontation. Therefore, the poachers must be equipped with enough equipment. For example, in 2017, the University of Science and Technology of Queensland, Australia, used the drones to protect koalas. They used drones to locate and master koalas' aesthetic dynamic, which provided significant help for koala protection. The consequence of stronger laws and more law enforcement officers could be positive. If more people can protect wild animals and there are more law enforcement officers. On the one hand, Kenya can set up more boundaries, protection nets, and the relevant patrols in the reserve. Once people are found to hunt wild animals illegally, they will be severely punished. On the other hand, the government can arrange personnel to register people and the vehicle entering or leaving the reserve, using special vehicle to enter and reserve for visits, enter and leaving with a limit time, and strap to protect wildlife. In addition, if more people join the work and more wild animals can be registered and effectively tracked, the unintended consequence is negative impact on ecosystem. If there are more and more tourists because everyone's quality is different, some tourists may trample on the ecological environment of the scenic spot at well to achieve the particular purpose, such as walking directly to prohibit flower forests, catching and injuring small animals. The development of tourist areas may destroy the habitats or shelters of wild animals. Tourists prefer to collect all kinds of wild animal products to show their arrogance, so the lives of wild animals are threatened. Finally, I incorporate how a system delayed will impact the effectiveness. If there are no enough law enforcement personnel and stricter laws, poaching will be more serious. If Kenya's economy declines, the government will not be able to invest in wildlife protection, and the poaching events will emerge endlessly. In addition, it is difficult for departments to cooperate in actual management. Cross-operation makes the division of power unclear. The nature reserve institutions are responsible for the protection of relevant wildlife. The Environmental Protection Department is responsible for the protection of the ecological environment. The Public Security Department is responsible for general security, administration, and punishment. the detection and the capture of poaching crimes, and the Industry and Commerce Department is responsible for the supervision of illegal operations. If the objective conditions are not improved, the anti-poaching work will be difficult. That's all Russell's presentation about the impact of poaching of wildlife on Kenya's tourism industry. And thank you for your patience. And I appreciate it. And wish you have a nice day. Thank you. That's all.